Gun Galleria here. Tonight we have a pistol that showed up recently. This was shipped to me FFL because it is not a black powder but is a black powder. What I mean by that was that this is a 44 black powder Uberti. This was made in 2022. This is a copy of a Remington 1858. And it has a 45 long Colt conversion cylinder in it. As you can tell, it is marked for a 44 caliber black powder round. This is all stainless. Now, how these conversion cylinders work is very simple. You need to pull the hammer back to the first notch. Okay, pull this forward. Now you have your cylinder pin forward. You can just simply rotate it out. And there's your cylinder. These cylinders like this are made to be a two-piece. As you can tell, this is not loaded. So, how these function is very simple. You put your 45 long in here. This plate has the firing pins that, when up against the back of a primer, are held forward. So when the hammer strikes, the pin is pushed forward, striking the back of the primer. Now you have an indexing hole and an indexing pin here to help line everything up correctly when you're putting it back together. So you put your rounds in, line this up, and you take your revolver and you rotate this back in, cylinder pin forward, lock it back in place. Now you're ready to go. Now, this is of course a single action. One thing to remember about these: there is no transfer bar, okay? So when you're loading these, keep in mind the old idea: don't have the hammer down on a chamber that has a round in it. You want the hammer down on an empty chamber. It is a safety feature. Firearms that have a transfer bar tend to have the safety built in, so to speak, that unless the trigger is being depressed, the bar is going to be in place and block that firing pin. Your hammer won't be able to go forward and ignite a round. Now, prior to safety bars and all those other things, they did not have that. When the hammer fell, it fell. When it was resting forward, it's resting forward on the back of a primer. You know, that firing pin is sitting on the back of a primer. And a good enough knock to the back would discharge the firearm. So dropping it was a bad idea if it was resting on a loaded chamber. So your best option was to always leave one empty cylinder. So one empty round, one empty chamber would mean that you were safe to carry, essentially. So overall, this pistol is in relatively good shape. It wasn't new when I bought it. It was made in 2022, so it's not that old of a firearm. It's an all steel frame, all steel cylinder, and a brass trigger guard. Now these cylinders come in two ways. The 45s come with a milled and a non-milled cylinder. You know, you can buy it either way, where you have the fluting or you don't. That is just an aesthetic. It doesn't change the function. So you could have it with a just completely flat or not. Now, .44 black powder will handle a modern .45 long perfectly fine. And especially in this is a modern firearm. And especially seeing as how this is the, you know, AT-58, which has this nice solid frame. So it is definitely usable with modern ammunition. You don't have to go about loading black powder in it. It can save a bit of time at the range. Some people like that nostalgic feel of being able to shoot black powder. Other people are like, I just want to shoot it for fun. I just enjoy it, whatever. But this is a configuration that if you're purchasing a firearm like this, will have to go to an FFL so long as it has this cylinder in it. Because this is what makes it a modern firearm and not something that's black powder. You know, this may have been designed for black powder, but this makes it something that has to be transferred. So anyway, this is the Uberti 1858 in stainless. Thank you for watching.